So welcome everybody. My name is Sylvia from the That Reconnects network, and we are introducing today one of our programs, the Webinars and Conversation Cafes program. In this program, we have facilitators of the That Reconnects from around the world presenting events and workshops to the general public. And today with us are Jacqueline and Margo. Jacqueline and Margo, it's all yours now. I'm going to stop sharing the screen.
Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you for hosting this event. Thank you to the That Reconnects for hosting this event. And thank you to everyone for showing up and joining in. So as Sylvia mentioned earlier, it would be great if you can rename yourself and include your country. So just to get a sense of who is here and where everyone is from. So let's begin by taking a look at the screen and see who is there, because it's not just a screen, it's actually people there. So let's just take a moment to look at the faces. And there's even a next pages that you can go to, just to get a sense of there are real people here. Okay, so that gives a sense of interconnectedness. We're doing this together. Although you may be sitting on your own in a room, I don't know, we're doing this together as well. So as we've looked at each other, let's take a moment to bring ourselves present. Simply notice how we sit here, our sit bones on our seat, our feet on the floor or wherever else they are. Notice our breathing. And notice our inner space. We may even close our eyes for a moment or look at something spacious, peaceful. Let's give ourselves permission to release any other activities or interactions we may have had before. Connecting to that space inside of us, our own center, our own source of inspiration, that place through which we connect with the whole. That place where we have a sense of caring for our world. In that space, let's be fully present to ourselves and each other, and to the theme of this session, exploring active hope, creating our new year. Thank you. Let's bring our attention present again and open our eyes again. So some brief introductions. So my name is Margo. I'm originally Dutch and I live here in the Findhorn community in Scotland in the UK. I've been here 29 years and I've been very much involved with spiritual development, personal development and education, and this year very much with online education. I met Joanna Macy about 20 years ago when she visited Findhorn and joined in several of her programs, and at some point was inspired to start giving workshops. One of them I did with Chris Johnston, who is actually the co-author of the book Active Hope. And now I have the great pleasure to work together with Jacqueline. So Jacqueline, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you. My name's Jacqueline Buckingham, and I've been involved with the work of Active Hope since about 2007. I was living in Australia at the time, and that was when I first came across these powerful exercises, some of which we're going to take you through today. I also lived in the Findhorn community for about 7 years, and during that time I worked with I didn't work with Joanna Macy. I took part in a workshop that she ran there, and then Margo and I have also held some programs there as well. And I've held some of these exercises in a number of different ways, in different formats for different groups of people, and I find that they're incredibly powerful wherever we take them. So I'm looking forward to sharing them with you today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Jacqueline. So a brief overview over our session. It's a 2-hour session and it's a very experiential session. So we won't do a huge amount of talking. In a moment, we'll introduce the work that reconnects, just to give a little flavor of what that is. And most of the time we actually go into some experiential activities. We're going to do some inner work. We're going to do some meeting up in pairs or small groups of 3, so we can actually communicate with each other. And we have some sharing, brief sharing in the large group. So that's a little overview. Midway, we have in about an hour, we have a short comfort break. And at the end, there will be time for questions and also some information about a next course that we are running later on in the month. So first of all, a question. Who has ever done any activities of the work that reconnects or Joanna Macy before? Who has done any courses, read any books? Wow, great. Yeah, raise your hands. Great. Great to see that. Great, thank you. Great to see there's so much, wisdom already in the room. So having said that, we thought it would be great to have a brief introduction, so we're all on the same page. So Jacqueline, would you like to say a bit about Active Hope and the work that reconnects?
What Active Hope is, yeah. So this particular webinar, we wanted to focus on releasing the old and welcoming the new. Yeah. It feels like a bit of a stuck record to say, we're in difficult times, and we are right now, So 2020 was a surprising year. 2021 is kind of continuing in a similar sort of vein. So it's like, how do we look at 2020, see some of the gifts and take those with us and leave behind the stuff that doesn't serve us anymore, and then really create 2021 in a powerful way. So that's what this evening is about. As Margo mentioned, so this webinar is it's a standalone event, but it's also a taster of what you might get if you wanted to take part in our longer workshop. And in the longer workshop, we'll be going much more deeply into the different 4 areas that we're going to touch on tonight. So we're going to tell you more about that at the end of this evening, or today, this afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. That starts in mid-February, and we're also going to be offering, we have a special offer discount price for anyone who's taken part in this webinar, honouring you as part of the Work That Reconnects community. So yeah, what is Active Hope? Well, whatever situation we face in life, we can choose how we respond. We may not have any choice about what happens to us, but we can choose how we respond to that. But when we're faced with overwhelming challenges, like all the many things that happened in 2020, it can really feel like we've actually got no choice at all, and our actions don't count for anything. But the way that we do respond, and the way that we believe our actions count, can actually be shaped by how we feel about hope. So there are 2 types of hope in the world. There's passive hope, which is kind of, waiting and hoping that things outside of us will change and bring about what we'd like to happen, what we desire. But then there's active hope, and active hope is about being active participants in what we hope for. As a practice, it actually helps to build resilience. So we're going to take you around a process called the spiral of the Work That Reconnects. And this spiral, you can go around it as many times as you like. You can go around it using different kind of contexts for going around the spiral. As I said, right now, we're going to be going around it with a look at letting go of last year, bringing the gifts and creating our new year. But here's the spiral of the Work That Reconnects that we're going to be going through with you this evening, touching on each of these 4 areas. So you can see from this image, this beautiful depiction of the spiral in the shape of a dandelion. So we're going to start at the roots. with gratitude. So a gratitude practice is a tried and tested practice for boosting our immune system, for looking at what we love and what we're grateful for counting our blessings. And this is not about kind of trying to sort of, cheer ourselves up. It's really about like looking like, what are we really grateful for in our life? Because once we can see that and we can see how much we do have to be grateful for, it gives us a lot of resources and a strong foundation to then go into the next area. And the next area is honoring our pain for the world. So from that foundation of gratitude, can we really be present with how we feel about what's happening right now? It can be quite edgy. It's very easy to sort of switch ourselves off, to go a bit numb, to distract ourselves. Or we can go to the other extreme where we're just kind of, it's so much in our face, we don't seem to be able to get away from it. And we feel, maybe even a bit traumatized by it all. So how can we honor our pain really in a constructive, healthful way that we can move forward, move through it and see actually what's underneath it? And once we looked at our pain and really looked at how we are and being honest about that, then we can see things maybe a bit differently. We can see with new eyes. This stage encourages us to look newly at how we perceive the world, how we experience the world. Is it true that, it is the way we think it is, or are the stories that we have about the world, or the stories we have about ourselves really true? Or might there be some other truth that we could explore? And then the final stage is stepping forth. So once we've seen things from a new perspective, we might be able to begin to see steps that we can take that we hadn't seen before, or steps that seemed impossible to us before. And we can look at, is there 1 or 2 steps that we might want to take now towards creating the kind of world that we'd like to live in? Thanks for the slide, Sylvia. So that's Active Hope, and that's what we're going to be doing with you this evening, taking you around this spiral. So before we get into the actual first section, the gratitude section, are there any questions about Active Hope or about the spiral? And if you do, there's this reactions function at the bottom of your screen, and it's got a raise hand. You can see I've just got a little hand that's appeared next to me. So if you want to ask a question, that's a really good way to do it. You're probably all very Zoom savvy these days. No, okay, all right. So looks like everyone's happy with that. So we'll move on. Yeah, Margo.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so the first step of the spiral is looking at gratitude. What are we grateful for? And as Jacqueline said earlier, that is actually, a profound way to boost our immune system, to look at the world or at our lives through the eyes of gratitude, with a sense of looking at the glass as half full, looking at what is positive. I don't know about you, but when I look at my life, or when I look at, read a newspaper, in a way we are bombarded with negative news, and there are so many difficult situations, and in a way we are, feeding ourselves continuously with what's wrong. That seems to be very addictive for one reason or another. And of course, there are a lot of things wrong in the world, absolutely. But in this time, in this section, we are simply going to look at what is positive, count our blessings. And actually, I think it's like a revolutionary act to do that, to boost our immune system, to look at our lives and at the world through the eyes of gratitude. So the way we're going to do that is to use open sentences. So this is a method designed by Joanna Macy, where we give 2 sentences, the beginning of 2 sentences, and you're asked to go into breakout rooms in small groups of 3, and you're going to complete the sentences. So you'll be in random little triads, and we'll continue to do that during the session. So the sentences are: some of the good things that happened to me in 2020 are, and then you spent a whole minute completing that sentence. And the second sentence is, some things I appreciate about myself are, and then just for a moment, complete that sentence. And for like a whole minute, don't stop at one thing, but complete that sentence several times. Some things I appreciate about myself are, and just complete that. So this is a very structured process. So when you go in the breakout room, there are 3 people. And I suggest that the person living closest to the South Pole, they start. And so you have 2 minutes each. So the person who is speaking has the full attention. So it's not a time for dialogue or discussion or comments or agreeing or not agreeing. The person who speaks has 2 minutes to speak about these 2 sentences. Then there will be a message from Sylvia to swap. And then the next person goes and has their 2 sentences and 2 minutes for them. Now, in order to create a safe, and then of course the third person goes when it's their turn. So when we do this, it's very important to create a safe and supportive space. So I would like to propose that we have a group agreement of confidentiality and respect. We may or may not know somebody else in the group, but we can talk about our own experiences of this session to anyone we like, but in a way to respect any sharings or any examples from others in any of these breakout rooms, to respect that and not discuss that outside, or not discuss that with anyone else. So that's in order to create more safety in the group.
And I think we've also, Sylvia's put the questions in the chat window as well. So once you're in the breakout room, you can refer to the chat window and still see them there.
Yeah, thank you. That's great.
Yeah, I will be posting them as flashes, so they will appear in your screen as well.
Okay.
So if you don't see the chat, you just click on the chat again and open, or just see the flashes that I'm going to broadcast.
Fantastic. Just one more thing. When you're listening, I actually also want to invite you, when it's your turn to listen, to simply listen with openness and curiosity, to listen with your ears, your eyes, and your heart, to really be open and not, criticizing or have comments, even internally. Sometimes here we say, practice listening with your Buddha nature, whatever that means. Practice listen from your heart. So to really create a welcoming space for somebody else to share their perspective. Okay. Anything I've forgotten here?
No, I think you covered it all.
Are we ready to go into the breakout room? So you have about 6 minutes altogether. I'll see you back in 6 minutes.
Yeah, and some of the groups are 2 people, so no worry about that. Okay.
You'll get it.
Okay, I'm opening now.
So let's take that with us also when we move on into the next part of the spiral that Jacqueline will lead us in. Over to you, Jacqueline.
Thank you, Margo. Yeah, what I heard from the people that shared in this room is shared experience, basically, that seems to have become present, and we're grateful for that we can see that. So in honoring our pain, which is the next section on the spiral, this stage gives us a chance to really acknowledge how we feel about what's going on. And we can do that within this safe and supportive space. It's now a locked meeting. Nobody else is going to come in here. We're starting to kind of get to know one another a bit. And it's a safe space where we can share our feelings, not push them away, and not dwelling on them or wallowing in them, but just letting them be how they are and acknowledging how they are. So 2020 was challenging in so many ways, collectively, personally. For myself, I had to hibernate in a little tiny caravan on my dad's farm for 2 weeks because I came back from Australia in the middle of it all, so I had to self-quarantine. I was able to see my dad, but I see my mum and I can't hug her. I haven't hugged my mum for over a year, and that's one of the most painful things for me. And then all the kind of, how much do we have to be worried about COVID, and how much of it is kind of, over emphasized. So it's all kind of really confusing and yeah, a bit sort of blurry and uncertain right now. And then on top of that, we've got Black Lives Matter, and we have Brexit here in the UK, and those had election in America, and so much going on. So we don't have a chance normally to let our feelings flow in our day-to-day life. So here now, you've got a safe space to allow yourself to really feel and express the feelings. Our pain for the world is normal and healthy. So these are some of the different ways that we might respond to pain when we hear about the state of the world. So, yeah, Sylvia, if you could just move this on to the next screen, please. So these are some of the things that we might hear or we might say ourselves. I don't believe climate change is real. I don't believe, can we go to the next one, please? I don't believe that COVID is real. I don't want to wear a mask, or I don't want to be vaccinated. And the other side to that might be, why isn't everyone wearing a mask? And why are you getting so close to me? We're all being controlled by our governments. We're all being controlled by corporations. I'm angry with the recent political changes. It's so upsetting that I prefer not to think about it. So it's just like, shut it out. Don't want to think about it. I'm scared that things won't change quickly enough. And then the last one is just like a kind of a check out, like a numb, there's no point doing anything. It's just not going to make any difference. Like a just give up hopelessness. So, you might be resonating with some of these or none of these. You might be anywhere on this spectrum. So we're going to give you a chance now with some more open sentences to begin to explore this area of pain. What are we feeling? What are some of the difficult feelings that are moving in us right now? And this is just a chance really to it might be the first chance to just kind of get it off our chest to a couple of other people who are just listening ears, listening with their open hearts, with their open minds, with their Buddha nature. So some of the questions we'd like to offer you, or these are the 3 sentences we'd like to offer you. When I think about some of the things that happened in 2020, what concerns me most is. So when I think about some of the things that happened in 2020, what concerns me most is, and Sylvia's putting these in the chat window as well. The feelings that come up are. The feelings that come up are. And then finally, and most importantly, what I do with these feelings is. What I do with these feelings is. You may channel them, you may check out, you may binge out on Netflix. I've certainly been tempted to do that myself this last year. So when I think about some of the things that happened in 2020, what concerns me most is. The feelings that come up are. And what I do with these feelings is. So you're going to be in a breakout room of 3 again. There may be a couple of 2s, but mostly you're going to be in groups of 3. And this time you're going to get 4 minutes to talk about the 3 questions.
So we're going to start again with the next part. So the next part is called Seeing with New Eyes. So this is actually the next phase where, as far as I understand the whole sequence of the spiral, this is where a big part of the transformation takes place. Already some of the people who shared earlier talked about the transformation taking place through experiencing feelings and sharing it. And this phase, Seeing with New Eyes, is actually the place in the whole sequence where we go like, well, this is the time to look at, can we see things different? Can we actually Are we at the mercy of what happens to us, or can we actually do something about it, being proactive with it? So let's try it out and see if this is possible. So we have a little bit of inner work where I guide you to a short guided meditation, a guided reflection, and I'll ask a few questions. So if you want to just take a moment to bring yourself present to yourself. Again, sit with your sit bones on the seat, your feet probably on the floor, like your body relaxed and alert. Being aware of your breathing. Breathing out any tension. And let the memory of our previous activities and conversations move a little bit to the background. They're still there, but also they're more to the background. Now I invite you to recall a recent time, maybe something recently or in the last year, something in your life where something good or positive happened because of what you said or what you did. And just remember a situation you did something or said something and that had a positive effect for yourself or others. There may be many more situations, but now focus on one of them. One that stands out for you, and recapture the scene. Play it back for yourself. Where were you? What happened? How was it to do or say the thing you did or said? How did it make you feel? Can you remember that feeling? Can you bring that feeling back in the here and now? Can you identify this feeling in your body? Then let that feeling fill you now. Fill your heart, your body, your mind. Let it fill your arms, your legs, your toes, your head. Let it fill your mind, your consciousness, your whole being. Now imagine you begin radiating out that quality into the room you're in, into your surroundings, your local area, into our group that we're meeting with today. And into our world. And finally, is there a name you can give to that feeling? Is there a word that captures it? And then bring that feeling back with you when you open your eyes and return your attention to our group in our meeting. Thank you. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move again in breakout rooms, this time in pairs. So you'll most likely meet one other person and you have 3 minutes each. So I invite you to take turns and I suggest the youngest person starts. Take turns, share a little bit, what was your example and the quality that you experienced there. And in 3 minutes you swap and the other person gets to speak. And again, do the speaking, one is speaking, the other is listening. And then we swap again. Okay, Sylvia, are you ready to put people in breakout rooms?
Yep, they're all ready. So
Great.
I'm opening the rooms now. Good. You can accept now.
With making happen. And then just begin to reflect on some of the things that you might do around that. What are some of the actions you could begin to engage with? Is this something you're going to do alone or with others? What might you say or do? And what positive result might happen when you take this step? To take a few moments to make some notes in your notebook if you have that, if you have a notebook to hand. Just to visualize, dream into it, maybe with your eyes closed. What can you see wants to happen? What part might you play in that? So I'm going to give you some sort of sentence starters here. We're going to put them into the chat room again. You might want to share from these in your breakout room. You're going to be in pairs again. So you're going to have 3 minutes now to talk about what you see happening next, what you see yourself involved with, what you'd like to be involved with. And some suggested things that you might speak about is I intend to. The first step I will take is, and I will ask so-and-so for support. There's some suggested ideas of topics that you might cover when you talk about what your next steps are. What do you see as next for you in 2021? I intend to, well, the first step I will take is, and if it's appropriate, I will ask so-and-so, X, Y, Z, for support. So Sylvia, are we set up for chat room pairs again? Yeah. Chat room, breakout rooms. I'm getting my rooms muddled up here. Breakout room pairs.
So whenever you.
Okay, all right, great. So you're going to have 3 minutes to share with one other person what your next steps are, what you see you want to get involved with in 2021. So if you accept the prompt as soon as it appears on your screen, and we'll give you the reminder to swap after 3 minutes as usual.
Perfect. They are open now.
Great, thank you. Oh, here we come.
Welcome back.
Great, wonderful. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. So if you'd like to now, there's an opportunity to share your next step in the chat window. I think the chat room's still open, is it, Sylvia? Yeah, great.
Yes.
And there's real power in sharing our next step. It might feel a bit edgy, but it also kind of it makes it real. It's like out there in the world now. So if you'd like to just put your next step into the chat window, that would be awesome. Sophie, we'll take some questions in a minute. We're just doing this activity for now, and then we'll come to you. So Sabrina, micro energy generation at our street level. Sounds good.
Karen.
Nicole, detox my life from the old system and hang tight for the new system to emerge. Sounds good. Listening groups. Seek support from my husband so we're on board together. Oh, in Hawaii, I intend to start Innovation School for Human Evolution in social, ecological, and spiritual renewal. Wow, Ashley, that's amazing. Gosh, resume volunteering at a local food bank. Great. Being with myself. Yeah. I mean, yeah, taking care of ourselves. It's so important. So important. Falling in love with Earth Monthly workshop. Teach workshops in forgiveness and trust I will find support. A Work That Reconnects retreat at my home. Is that going to be you retreating with yourself, Kathy, or are you going to be retreating with others online? Sounds good. Take a pilgrimage to the G7 meeting in June. Support hedgehogs by encouraging hedgehog highways. Connect more with regional groups for change and get more active. Feel safe, clear my agenda to do my work. Neil, help create a new Sangha. Listening to the pain that blocks deep engagement. Reducing paid work to dedicate time to climate issues. That's great. Bringing more of what my heart wants into the world. Jamie, I'll put effort into a PowerPoint presentation tomorrow about healing racialized trauma in our community. Galinda, what does a tree teach me? Get engaged with online teaching. Writing daily and querying publishers, spreading love and compassion. Use less plastic, advocate for alternatives to suppliers. Gosh, we've still got 24 new messages, so I think there must be multiple coming in from, from some people here, because we've only got 54 left on the group. So where are we? Be interested and present for the team I support, develop a community feel, a space to share and inspire each other. Barbara, continue to release my blocks to self-expression. And Sophie, a spiral journey embody climate change workshops combining dance and art with the Work That Reconnects, offering free spaces for BIPOC or hosting workshops specifically for white femmes to take collective action against racism. Become a craft activist. Oh, there's so many on here. I mean, I couldn't read them all, so you might want to have a look through here and see. So inspiring. So much variety, from outrageous to simple to caring for ourselves, caring for others. Beautiful, thank you. So we would like to take some sharing now. We've just got 5 minutes to take a bit of sharing on, where are you at now, having been through this spiral journey? Like, is there anything you'd like to share about the experience, where you're at now from where you were when you came into this? Anything you'd like to share into the larger group, and just put your hand up if there's something you'd like to say. And I apologize for whoever it was that wanted to speak earlier. You're very welcome to speak now if you choose to. Very valid point, very pertinent point as well. And yeah, I know from my own experience, spending time with Aboriginal Australians and the elders there, one of the elders there said to me that what they need, this is from the Aboriginal Australians' experience, is that they need partnership because they know what they need to do. They know what they need to do to change their world. They don't need us white folk to tell them. They know what they need to do, but they're not empowered to do it because of the way society's been set up, So what we can bring as the white folks is like, there's a lot of guilt, of course, with what's happening for us, but we can bring that to them. We can go into partnership with them, and we can help to empower them in what they're doing because they don't have access in the same way that we do. So yeah, so it's really important that also that we honor what we're doing, and then we take that out into the world, as well as obviously trying to invite those voices to come in too. Yeah, thank you. Valuable, precious point. And maybe some people on this call, I know there are other facilitators on this call, maybe people will feel moved to take it into those communities as well, and that would be another gift.
Okay, yeah, so that brings me to some final comments. First of all, thank you everyone for joining in. Really appreciate the depth of sharing and engagement. It's very, very nourishing to hear and to experience. I also want to mention something that this basically going back to what was just mentioned, this was just like a short taster in 2 hours. So we do have a much longer and deeper course that starts the 20th of February, where we go much more deeper into each of these themes. So basically we have a whole session for gratitude, a whole session for honoring our pain, etc. So a whole session for each of these themes. Also, what happens is that you'll be joining small groups all over the planet, but usually in your own time zone, where you meet with a couple of people, 3 to 5 people, in another small group, in another support group. So you continue the learning during the week. Also, you'll be you get some homework or some exercises to keep things going in between sessions. There is a dedicated Facebook group, a private group, where you can share the learning and share the inspiration. So it's much more an in-depth course over 4 weeks. And to encourage you to join in, we offer a £25 discount if you join in, and that discount is available until Sunday the 14th of February. So, and I think Jacqueline, can you post the link, etc., in the chat room? You'll also receive it in an email.
Yeah, so in the chat room is a link to the booking site. There's also the webinar New Future is the discount code, and all of this is going to go in an email to all of you, which Sylvia will send out in the next little while.
So I really hope some of you want to join in, because I really enjoyed your company here. So I would love to continue working with you and engaging with this essential work. So, having said this, is there anything else? Otherwise, I would like to do a little closing moment to close. Jacqueline, anything else or any questions? Oh yeah, any questions? Otherwise, we're gonna close.
No, just thank you to the beautiful comments. It's been a joy to share this with all of you. Real joy. Thank you so much for all your sharing, your openness, your transparency, your big-heartedness.
And also a huge thank you to Sylvia and others in the work that reconnects for actually organizing these webinars, Zoom driving, doing so much of the work, the background work to make this webinar and others and other work happening. So let's just take a moment to go within and generate a sense of, just look at how we feel at this moment. And be with the gratitude and any other experiences. And let's take a moment to imagine the positive energy of this webinar going into our own lives, our own next steps, touching others. And having a ripple effect in the world, touching the lives of other groups, countries, people and places where some positive energy is needed. And as we send out this positive energy, let's also see it returning to us, touching our hearts. Thank you.
Thank you, Margo.
My pleasure.
And I would like to thank everybody for joining us today. And if you want to know more about the program of webinars and conversation cafes of the World that Reconnects, you can go to our website, www.worldthatreconnects.org, where you will find all the events and all the information. And we will follow up with an email, like Jacqueline and Margo said, with all the information about their program, their discount code, and other programs that we offer. Thank you so much.